Sinikeneya.
Auniche, audanse. Welcome to another episode of Kuma bakolo, the essence of talk, an educational series that teaches Mandeng by looking at instances of the language as it is really spoken, written, or in this case, sung. In this episode, we are going to focus on the song Sinikeneya by the Ivoirian artist Daouda, also known as Daouda le sentimental. Ne togoko Coleman, noye arama jaloye farafina. My name is Coleman. This is a project from Ankata, my initiative to create media and resources for speaking and learning Mandeng. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Iowa, I'm really excited about doing this song because I'm a huge fan of Daouda's early songs that he sung in Dioula. This one was actually introduced to me while I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Burkina Faso, and at the time, Daouda was presented to me as un fils du pays, or as a native son of the area. So, Jonye Daouda ye. Who is Daouda? Daouda wolla dugumena atogoko Nyangoloko. Daouda was born in the Burkinabe town of Nyangoloko, which is on the main paved road not too far from the Ivoirian border. And actually, it was a town that I regularly went to on my bike during the Peace Corps so that I could drink cold Coke and check my email. Aka donkili menu bora ane 80 koson mogo chama ya long bi. Many people know him because of his more produced songs from the 1980s that were sung in French. For instance, songs like La Femme de mon patron,
La femme de mon patron,
The Wife of My Boss, or Mon coeur balance.
entre les deux mon cœur balance, ça balance et ça rebalance.
Nga Daouda kona ka donkiri menu la, folifanchama tunte soro alula. Daouda actually started his career out with much simpler productions, such as his first major hit, Baka d'Abidjan,
Les Baka d'Abidjan arrangent bien des gens.
which means the baka or the public transport taxis that one sees around Abidjan. Daouda ye kalanke Fransi ka soro ka shoko Côte d'Ivoire. Asera oyoro la tumame aye bara damana erteila. So Daouda actually did his studies at the National Institute of Audiovisual Studies outside of Paris in France, and then afterwards returned to Côte d'Ivoire where he started working for the RTI, the Radio-Télévision Ivoirienne, so the public broadcast service that manages radio and television in Côte d'Ivoire. Oyorola aka barake nyongo ye aka donkilo don ka soro ka su kata kamarao nyefe. So it was actually while he was there that his colleagues discovered some of his songs and basically forced him to appear in front of the cameras. Otemenenko aye donklida barani damana kosobe. So it was actually after that that he began to focus on music more seriously, which brings me to the song that we're going to focus on today, Sinikeneya.
Mbadenwe anyala dari yo. Sinikeneya.
This song is also the title track of his 1980 album of the same name. The reason the song is so compelling is not just because of its beautiful melody, it's because of the meaning of the words that he sings. Daouda focuses on the importance of viewing good health as a gift in this world where so often we can get lost focused on the things that we covet or seek. I'd argue that this is a particularly powerful message, both in Côte d'Ivoire in the 1980s and in West Africa today, especially for the many speakers of Mandeng who seek a better life either at home or abroad. And maybe that explains why Magic System covered the song in 2007. One last thing, do you need a little bit of extra help with some of the material that we cover in this video? There's a link down in the description below that can give you access to vocab, audio flashcards, and exercises that go with everything that we cover in this and every video in the series. Otherwise, Ankata. Aiwa, akodi, ako, Sinikeneya leka gwelen kobeye. So let's start out by looking at the words that are the title of the song. So the title of the song is normally written as one word in the French or in the way it's written in the album, but it's actually 3 words. So we have si, which means life, but it's not life as in this life. It's rather life as in longevity, right? So your lifespan, the life that you lead and will one day end. Then we also have ni, meaning and, right? After that, we have kɛnɛya. So kɛnɛya comes from the word kene, right? The qualitative verb. We say ika kene, are you healthy? So kɛnɛya, you put the ya on there, it becomes abstract, and that means health. So life and health is the name of the song. And then we have Sinikeneya le. This is going to be a focalization marker. In Bambara, it would be de. So that puts some focus. That means it puts stress. In English, we would say life and health are harder or whatever. So this here does that work. This puts all the things that are before the le get stressed, everything in that noun phrase. Then we recognize gweleng. So gweleng is the Bambara, and it's actually used in writing in Bambara. We'd say geleng, right? Some people pronounce it gweleng. So this means difficult or hard. Bamanakam mang geleng, Bambara isn't hard. And if we say that here, then we have life and health are hard or difficult. And then now what's going on with this last piece? So kobeye, we're going to see this is actually a way to create a comparative. So we have a postposition here, ye, that's going to allow us to do that. So to make a comparative, which is something like saying like I am taller than you, in Bambara, you're going to use this ye to do that. So you put it after we've said this first phrase, right? So life and health are hard. And then we're going to say harder. So this ye does the work of saying harder than what? And it's everything that appears here. That's the part that is being compared to. So this noun phrase here, kobe, actually you all recognize it when we say kobedi, right? So how are affairs? Or if we say ko mai. So ko is affair, and then this word be is going to be a determiner, meaning all. So all affairs, or if we wanted matters. So if we think then this ye, which does our comparative work, then we put it all together and we say life and health are harder than all matters. Meaning in this life, nothing is as difficult as having good health and a lifespan that continues on. Akodi, ako, mbadenuwe, anyala dari, Sinikeneyara. Aiwa, okorokodi. Aiwa, donc namba foko mbadenu. So badeng, right, actually means, you see here the word den, meaning child, and ba, meaning mother. So baden means a maternal sibling. And that's normally reserved for, it can also be used generally to mean my brothers, but it's in an affectionate way. The opposite term would be faden, and faden with someone is your paternal sibling, only through your father, which is typically a relationship of rivalry. So baden is very affectionate. Mbadenuwe, so we here is just a term that's used frequently in singing to kind of say, oh, my dear brothers. So mbadenu, my brothers. And then here we say, so he's speaking to all of everyone listening as brothers or as siblings. And then he says, anye ala dari. So if we break this down here, anye ala dari, Sinikeneyara. Aywa. So the first thing is we can see that God is involved in this. And so we say we, ang, meaning we, ye ala dari. So this actually here is the equivalent in Bambara. We'd say anka ala deli. So we would say anka ala deli. So deli is to beseech or to implore. So if we said ka ala deli, right, to beseech or ask of God, so to beseech God. Ka dari is the Dioula form, right? So ka ala dari is to ask or request or beseech or beg God. And then when we say, I'm going to write it here for everyone, ka dari, to beseech. And then here, anye ala dari. So people might be thinking that this is the past. It is the past marker in Bambara, but in Maninka and in Dioula varieties, people will frequently use this actually is the equivalent of the optative. So it's actually going to be a benediction. Like, you know, when we say alaka bidya, right? May God make today pleasing. Or if we did it with we say ankata, meaning let us go, right? As in, let's go. And then here, it's going to be actually changing this. So instead of saying ankata, it would be anyeta. So this form here is what's going on here. This is the, some varieties of Dioula and Maninka use this. So say anye ala dari means let us beseech God or let us ask God. And then here we have Sinikeneya. So we just saw that, meaning life and health or longevity and health. And then we have ra. This ra here in Bambara could be la. So that's another, this is the post position, right, that can frequently mean at or on, etc. But it has a much wider range of meanings, and this is one of the particular one. Because we can see it goes with this verb, ka dari. So, my dear brothers, let us ask God or beseech God. And this whole bit here is going to tell us what we're going to ask God for. So we have our direct object here. And then now this other bit, let us ask God for or beseech God for Sinikeneya. So the expression then is ka mogo, let's say ka mogo or ala dari fenna. So here you can see it's ra, which is the same as la or na, which could mean to implore God for something. So this ra here does the same work in English of the preposition for. So mbadenue anye ala dari sinikeneyara, meaning, oh my dear brothers, let us ask God for life and health.
Dobe wolo fantanyara katla kakena folo tigiye.
Dobe wolo fantayara katla kake nafolotigiye. Aiwa, okorokodi. Okoroko, dobe wolo fantayara. So let's look at it piece by piece. So this is actually going to be our first sentence. And we have, for starters, our subject, do. So do, which means some people, right? And so this means that do actually means some. It means an indefinite number of something. So we could say mogodo, some person, right? But if we say do, right? If we said mogodo, some people, and if we drop this mogo, excuse me, we don't need the plural marker on there. If we drop this mogo, then it becomes instead people in general. So we actually can get rid of this some here, and we can get rid of this mogo, and it's the same thing. So some people, right? So let's leave it because the meaning will still be the same. Some people. So do be wolo, ka wolo, aiwa. So that's our verb, ka wolo, meaning to be born. Do be wolo. So this be here, that means that we're going to have it in the equivalent of the present, if you wish. So do be wolo. Some are born. And then we have here this postpositional phrase, fantayara. So ra, as we said before, is the equivalent of la in standard Bambara. So in, on, at, it's a general postposition. And then here we have a noun, fantayara, fantanya. Fantan actually would be a poor person, and it literally comes from the expression fanga untang, right? So it means without strength, right? So fantan is actually a word that means somebody who is doesn't have means or doesn't have strength, and it's used to mean a poor person. And here fantanya is going to be a word that means poverty then. So you can see, again, we have that abstraction suffix, which means poverty in the sense of kind of miserable poverty or someone who doesn't have means. Aiwa. So we have our first bit, dobe wolo fantayara. Some people are born into poverty. And now we're going to say a little bit more about them. And it says, katla kake nafolotigiye. So katla is a verb, which means to end here, and it can mean to split in other contexts. But here, katla, then in this sense means we're now speaking about this same person. So some people are born into poverty and they end up, right? So that's going to be our next bit. And they end up, what do they end up doing? Kake nafalotigiye. So kake flankye means to become blank. So some people are born into poverty and they end up becoming nafalotigi. So what is a nafalotigi? So nafalo means a good, as in the French term of a bien. So somebody, it means a material good that someone controls or owns. And nafalo, it's like a rich, like riches in that sense, it could be in English. If we say nafalotigi, tigi then means an owner or someone who's in control of something. So nafalotigi is a rich person, someone who has a good or has goods in this case. So if we put it all together, do be wolo fantayara katla kake nafalotigiye. So some people are born into poverty and end up becoming rich people, though it's in the singular here, end up becoming a rich person. Akodi, ako, duniana, kobe na kelonle, okorokodi. So let's look at it piece by piece. First, we have this little expression duniana. So here, dunia means life, right? And this comes from the Arabic loan word, which has to do with life or this world, so this life that we live in. Very different from si then. So dunia coming from the Arabic equivalent, and then dunia na. So this na here is a postposition that we've seen, la, ra, na, meaning in, at, on. So in this life, right? Dunia na, in this life. Kobe, so we've already seen this as well. Kobe, meaning all matters or all affairs. And then here, kobe ni, so if we expanded this out, ni akelonle. So I'm going to put this here so we know it's he, she, it. So all affairs and it's what? Kelon. So kelon, we have kelon, which in Bambara would be kedon, which means day of doing, or literally the verb here, kake, to do, kake, to do something. And then we have long, or in Bambara, don, meaning day. So after that, we have this little le here. That's that same focalization marker that we talked about, right? So if we say le, in Bambara, day, that puts some focus on it. So here, in this life, all matters and its, but in English we'd say, and their day of doing. So meaning, in this life, all things come to pass. Akodi, ako. Nala ki son warila, nama kɛnɛya dima oye gwansanye. Okorokodi. Aiwa. Ankofle. Let's have a look. So, ni ala ki son warila. So here, let's expand it. It's ni ala. So this ni here is going to be if, right? If God ka ison. So let's expand this all out. Ka here, this is going to be the past version of what in Bambara would be ye, right? So in ye is going to be our past marker in Bambara, and in Dioula, this is going to be the equivalent, right? It's not in all varieties of Dioula, but frequently. So ni ala ka ison. So here we have our verb ki son. So this to ka mogo son. Ka mogo son means to invite someone to something, in the sense of to bestow something upon someone or to give somebody something, right? So ni ala ki son, so if God invites you or bestows, and then here we're going to have what God bestows upon you. So we say if God ki son, so if God invites you, and then we have warila, ka mogo son, so if we expanded this in expression, fenna, to invite someone to something. And that's what we have here. Ni ala ki son warila, so wari, meaning money, and then we use the postposition here, la, na, or as we've seen in earlier sentences from this, ra, can be our postposition, right? So that's part of this expression, ka mogo so fenna, ni ala ki son warila. So if God bestows money upon you, or is, gives you the good fortune of having money, and now we're going to have this second part that we can expand. Ni ama kɛnɛya dima. So here we have our verb, kadi. So here refers to God. If he or she, depending on your God, so, or let's just say if God again. And then here we have our past marker that goes with the verb. So this, like mata, I didn't go. This is going to go with our verb here. So ni ama blank dima. So if he didn't give health, here we have kɛnɛya, the word that we already knew. And that's so if he did not give, or if he hasn't given health, and then we have the second bit. So we can see now that our expression could be kafendi mogoma, to give something to somebody, right? So here we need to use ma when we use the verb di, right? That's how we use that correctly. So if God has not invited you to money, as in if God has not given you money, or if God has given you money rather, and he hasn't given you health, right? He hasn't given health to you, oye guansang ye. So here we have the ye structure, which everyone is familiar with, right? Ne ye kolman ye, I am Coleman. Very simple. But this o here is that. That's referring to this whole situation. And then after that, we have guansang. So guansang here is a special word. In Bambara, they'd say gansang. In Dioula, guansang. That means something that is free, something that just is. So here it's actually negative, right? So it's actually going to say that is just, it's for nothing. It's for naught, right? So when we say, if God gives you money and he hasn't given you health, that is for naught. That is not, or that is guansang. So mogo, we can say mogo guansang. That would just mean simply a simple person or just a person. So you can see the translation can be quite different between Bambara and English. Aiwa, ni ala kison warila nama kɛnɛya dima oye guansang ye. If God invites you to money, but he hasn't given you health, then that is all for naught. Aiwa, Antlara, all done. Did you like this video? Think about giving me a thumbs up and letting me know down in the comments below. Did you really like this video and you want me to keep making more? Think about becoming a patron. You can do that here or down in the link in the description below. Otherwise, auniche kambe.